In the open grasslands of Elcarman, the desert shrubland melts into the horizon. A cloud of dust rises in the distance. The deep rumble of hooves echoes across the earth. A powerful breath shakes the landscape. The American bison has returned. For centuries, this primitive giant was the beating heart of North America. Wherever it roamed, life followed. But its disappearance changed everything. This is not just the return of a species. This is a story of how life, when given a chance, finds its way home. Carmen Nature Reserve is one of North America's largest conservation efforts. Located in northern Coahuila, Mexico, and extending into Texas, the reserve spans vast deserts, expansive grasslands, rugged mountain ranges, and deep canyons. With an extension of 130,000 hectares, roughly the size of the city of Los Angeles, it serves as a critical transboundary biological corridor, linking protected lands in Mexico and the United States. Its significance extends beyond borders, allowing species to move freely across landscapes, reconnecting fragmented ecosystems. It is home to over 1,000 species of plants, 289 species of birds, and a growing number of large mammals. This is no ordinary landscape. Elcarman is a rare jewel. Adjacent to Big Bend National Park in Texas, it is one of the most intact and biologically complex ecoregions left on Earth. Only history can explain how such a vast wildland has endured. For decades, these lands were exploited for cattle grazing, timber, and non-regulated hunting. Overuse stripped the land of its richness, disturbing natural cycles and pushing species to the brink of local extinction. The absence of key species accelerated this decline. The grasslands became stagnant. The balance that had once sustained these lands had been lost. Yet, despite this past, the resilience of the land never disappeared entirely. Beneath the worn surface, nature waited for its chance to return. Recognizing the urgent need for restoration, in 2000, Elcarman was established as a private conservation initiative. A vision took shape: restore habitat, manage populations, and reintroduce species that had once shaped the ecosystem. The Native Americans who once inhabited this land left behind evidence of bison's presence on the walls of ancient caves, likely scenes of hunts, etched in stone. They speak of a time when wild herds roamed freely across these plains. Today, those images are more than memories. They are a thread connecting the past to the present. In 2019 and 2021, 30 carefully chosen bison were reintroduced to Elcarman, chosen for their genetic diversity and health. It was an ambitious step, but in just 6 years, the population has more than tripled. The calves we now see running freely across the plains are the first generation born wild in Elcarman in more than a century. The herd we now see is not the entire group. During the year, bison split into different familiar groups or clans, also a survival strategy. By dispersing, they increase their chances of finding food and water. This particular group moves across the land in search of grasses and prickly pear cactus, a plant that, in addition to nutrients, provides them with moisture. This group is composed of several adult females, their spring-born calves, and a few young males who will soon have to leave the herd. The Society of Bison is matriarchal. Leading them is the oldest female, a silent leader who knows the terrain, remembers where water can be found, which canyons offer shade, and which paths have proven safe before. She does not command, she walks, and the herd follows. The sun blazes overhead, but the heat does not stop them. The bison is a resilient animal, adapted to both the chill of winter and the scorching heat of the desert. Its massive body, cloaked in thick, dark fur, allows it to conserve energy and withstand extreme temperatures. Its strength is not just in its size, it's in its impact. Wherever it steps, it transforms. Its hooves break the hard crust of the soil, allowing rainwater to penetrate and awaken dormant seeds. When it rolls in the dust, as it often does, it creates shallow depressions that collect rain, becoming pockets where plants can grow. The bison doesn't merely inhabit the land, it reshapes it. It is a natural architect, restoring lost habitats and helping nature recover its cycles. Certain species, because of their sensitivity to environmental change, serve as biological indicators. Their presence signals the health and integrity of the ecosystem. In Elcarman, the bison is one of these key species. The desert bighorn sheep and the mule deer are another, emblematic of Mexico's wildest landscapes. These species are also considered umbrella species, meaning that efforts to protect them end up benefiting many others that share their habitat: plants, insects, mammals, and birds. More than 280 bird species have been documented in the reserve, including a rich blend of residents and migratory travelers. Many come from distant places: Canada, the northern United States, flying thousands of miles to seek refuge in the heart of the Chihuahuan Desert. They arrive with the change of seasons, following ancient routes that have guided them for generations. Some, like the red-tailed hawk or the Swainson's hawk, soar high above the plains. Others, like sparrows, cardinals, and mockingbirds, flit between branches and grasses. In spring and summer, the air fills with the melodies of songbirds. Their refuge often lies in the canyons, narrow corridors that retain moisture in their soils and roots. They create microclimates, cooler, shaded, rich in fruit and seeds. For birds, they are highways of survival. Elcarman's canyons are more than dramatic features on the landscape. They are lifelines. As birds pass through, they carry seeds, pollinate plants, and stitch together the ecological fabric of these vast ecosystems. On the ground, between these canyons and the grasslands, the mule deer is easily recognized by its long ears and by its distinctive bounding gait. The mule deer, rather than running, moves in long rhythmic leaps, a unique adaptation that allows it to navigate thorny brush, rocky slopes, and uneven terrain. The coat is grayish, and its tail, short and tipped with black, has earned it the nickname blacktail. During the day, mule deer prefer open plains, where their sharp eyesight gives them an advantage. As the sun sets, they retreat to arroyos and dense vegetation to rest. Vision is their best defense. Ever alert, they take turns standing guard, scanning the landscape for any sign of danger. Their antlers reflect the health of their habitat. Where minerals and nutrients abound, their racks grow strong and symmetrical. Spring marks the season of antler shedding. Males lose their antlers, and the cycle of regrowth begins anew. Around this time, fawns born the previous year begin to gain independence, while young males start to form bachelor groups far from the does. Higher up, in the canyons and foothills of the mountain range, lives the white-tailed deer. The endemic subspecies, Carmenus, is smaller in size, with more compact antlers and a long white tail that flicks up like a flag when danger nears. Today, deer are a fundamental part of the Elcarman ecosystem. They sustain predators, disperse seeds, and shape vegetation. Not bad for this antlered species. Mule deer and white-tailed deer coexist peacefully, rarely competing. Each has carved out its ecological niche, although whitetails venture to an even more surprising place in Carmen Reserve. The pine forests. In a landscape dominated by desert and scrub, these high-elevation forests stand apart, offering a cooler, wetter refuge in a sea of heat and dust. Known as sky islands, isolated ecosystems perched atop mountains, surrounded by dramatically different lowland habitats. In Elcarman, these islands are home to oak and pine forests, species that once stretched across wider regions but have now retreated to higher ground. As the planet warmed and dried over millennia, these forests became stranded, like green archipelagos above a desert sea. Here, life is different. The air is cooler, the soil richer. From this forest, the black bear descends to lower grounds in search of food and water. Here in Elcarman, this powerful creature roams freely, crossing borders without knowing they exist. As an umbrella species, its presence reveals the strength of the ecosystem, thriving only where wilderness still holds. To witness its majesty is a gift, a sign that the land still breathes, the rivers still flow, and the sanctuary is alive, guarding another giant. This one carved in silence. One of Elcarman's most secret treasures. The Canon del Diablo. A place where the hand of man has barely left a trace. One of the wildest, most untouched corners of Mexico. A vast, rugged chasm carved in the northernmost edge of the Sierra del Carmen. Forged by the same ancient forces that sculpted these mountains, deserts, and rivers over the past 10 million years, the Canon del Diablo is a masterpiece of erosion and time. Here, steep ravines converge to form a single monumental gorge that drops dramatically into the desert plains east of the range. No other formation in the region matches its scale, its rawness, its inaccessibility. To step into the Canon del Diablo is to witness the land as it once was, wild, unyielding, and free. In the vast desert of Elcarman, two towering rock formations rise from the horizon like ancient sentinels. They are known as Los Pilares. Watching over the rugged terrain, these stone giants symbolize the path back home of the Bighorn sheep. Their horns, long and curved, betray their age. These are adult males, ready to challenge for dominance. For now, it is not breeding season. They stay together, away from the female groups. This is no coincidence. They are here because this terrain, steep, broken, and remote, gives them exactly what they need: thermal refuge from the sun, mineral-rich soils for nourishment, and high ground to detect danger before it strikes. These are the masters of the mountain, acrobats of stone. Their eyes, positioned for wide panoramic vision, are constantly alert. In this landscape, vision is their first and best line of defense. But not long ago, these cliffs had fallen silent. By the mid-20th century, the desert bighorn had disappeared entirely from Coahuila over hunting, habitat loss, and diseases transmitted by domestic livestock had driven them to local extinction. One more fracture in the ecological balance. After decades of absence, 30 desert bighorns were reintroduced into complete freedom in Elcarman. It was an historic milestone for Coahuila and northern Mexico. And then, in February 2005, came the moment that validated everything. The birth of the first bighorn lamb in the wild in Elcarman, not in captivity, but in freedom. It was a symbol of return, a symbol of hope. Since then, the population has steadily grown. Today, more than 300 bighorns roam the reserve. Their return is a conservation victory and also a restoration of the wild soul of Elcarman. The matriarch stops. From a rise, she surveys the terrain. She finds a clearing and emits a low, almost imperceptible vocalization. It is a signal. The herd responds and moves, single file, toward their resting place. The females lie down. The calves huddle close. The young males, however, take the opportunity to play. They're rehearsing what one day will become real. The fierce battles that determine who will lead and who will mate. These fights are not symbolic. They are brutal, sometimes fatal, but essential. Only the strongest may pass on their genes, ensuring that the herd remains healthy and resilient. In their steps walks the future of this land, because the bison has not just returned. Along with other key species, it is rebuilding the balance that once sustained this place, clearing paths for others, sowing a new beginning. A healthier world is not a distant dream. It is a tangible possibility. By restoration of nature through the protection of habitats and the reintroduction of key species, we are building a better future. The journey of Elcarman stands as living proof that when we give nature the time, the space, and the care it deserves, it begins to heal. There is a word that captures the essence of this work: rewilding, the return to the wild. It speaks of healing, of resilience, of nature reclaiming its rhythm. The rebirth of this sanctuary is a legacy in motion and a great example of collaboration between the private sector, government agencies, NGOs, and neighbors. But conservation cannot be the work of a few. It must be a shared responsibility, carried by present and future generations alike. In Elcarman, we are witnessing a promising path forward. One that brings hope, not only to the land, but to humanity itself. A reminder that our future is inseparable from the wild places we choose to protect today.